This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Before we got to see Bela Lugosi play his iconic role as Dracula from Universal, director F.W. Murnau made his own version of the Bram Stoker tale, but ended up getting into trouble. Today we'll talk about a movie we're lucky to be able to watch, Nosferatu from 1922. The vampire we see in this film is called Count Orlok as opposed to Dracula from the novel. When making this film, the director tried his best to stay clear of using the names and big points from the book to stay clear of the copyrights. So we don't have characters like Renfield, but you still get the gist of the story. And even though the Count in this one looks completely different to what we see in Bela Lugosi's version, I prefer it more. Lugosi really turned him into a sleazy womanizer, but he wasn't really in the novels as much. So what we get in this movie is more animal-like. Bald head, rat-like teeth, long claws, just fucking terrifying. The design of vampire Kirk Barlow in Salem's Lot is inspired by Nosferatu. Nosferatu is a silent film, so it really works off of the visuals. The doorway and the art shots are particularly famous now. The first modern film that comes into my head using these shots is The Nun. Just even seeing the Count walk in this film freaks me out. Scenes where he carries the coffin pops into my mind straight away. The slow frame rate in these silent movies really adds to the horror. This movie is 100 years old now, but in my opinion it aged really well. It can be slow moving at times, but it makes creepy scenes even more effective. Like in the previous video, it was Caligari and Nosferatu that helped shape the horror genre. In the silent film era there was no such thing as a horror movie, but it's these two movies that you could definitely call a horror. Dark tone, German expressionism, Killer on the Loose, two very important movies. There was an urban legend about the Count Orlok's actor Max Schreck that he could have been a vampire himself, since there wasn't really much known about him, and maybe because he played the part that well. Somebody took that urban legend and made it into a movie called Shadow of the Vampire, with William Dafoe as the vampire actor. I've yet to see that one actually, but I heard good things. Upon release, Bram Stoker's widow sued the people behind the movie, and the court orders all of the copies to be destroyed. Obviously now, somehow, copies survived and that's how we could watch it today. We almost lost this movie. Now as a Dracula movie, I think it works well, even a bit better than Universal's one from 10 years later. It's a combination of the actual vampire look and how animalistic it gets throughout the movie that sets it apart for me. Of course, plenty of actors go on and play Dracula. We've talked about one of Christopher Lee's Dracula movies on here from Hammer. He plays it just as good as the rest. I heard there's a remake in the works with William Dafoe and Bill Skarsgård. I'm up for anything Nosferatu, but what I feel like they don't do enough in these classic remakes is make them actually scary. Look at the Halloween remakes for example. Imagine bringing back Count Orlok and making him as terrifying, scary as possible. Because that's what he would have been back in 1922. Don't just make a movie because you have the rights to a character. If you haven't seen this movie, I'd recommend you watch it. Even if you're not really into silent movies, it's really good to look back on. Check out our other video on the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Leave a like if you want to see more of these silent horror lookbacks, and comment your thoughts on the movie if you've seen it. And we'll see you on the next one. Podcasts are coming back, so subscribe and see you on the next one.